What's up everybody and welcome back to the channel. Premier League action is back. Match day 1, Manchester United are up against Arsenal at Old Trafford. 4:30 p.m. kickoff tomorrow. Manager is of course Mikel Arteta. Now, some head-to-head for last season in the Premier League. At home, Manchester United drew 1-1 with Arsenal in March 2025, so earlier on this year. However, away from home, Manchester United did lose 2-0 in December 2024 when it was due to two set-piece goals that Arsenal scored, and it was really disappointing, that loss. However, in January, we did beat Arsenal in the FA Cup on penalties after drawing with them 1-1 in full time. So, however, last season, under Arteta, Arsenal finished second with 74 points in the league, with 20 wins, 14 draws, 4 losses, 69 goals scored, 34 against, with a goal difference of 35. And Arsenal, I think they did have the best defence in the league last season, so I think scoring goals against them this season is going to be difficult as well. So in terms of some insights for the match, let's get into some insights. So Manchester United have lost just 2 of their last 18 Premier League home games against Arsenal, winning 10 and drawing 6, though both defeats have been with Mikel Arteta in charge of the Gunners, 1-0 in both November 2020 and in May 2024. Arsenal have scored in each of their last 11 Premier League away games against Manchester United, 14 goals, having only managed to score 10 of their first 22 visits to Old Trafford in the competition with 11 goals. Manchester United have won 99 of their 243 meetings with Arsenal in all competitions, drawing 55 and losing 89. They've only beaten Aston Villa 107 more often, while they would be the first ever team to beat the Gunners 100 times. This is the second time in English history Manchester United are hosting Arsenal in their first game of the season, previously beating the Gunners 4-1 in 1989-1990. So Manchester United are beginning a Premier League campaign with a home game for the 9th successive season, the longest run of any side in English top flight history. So hopefully Manchester United can come away with the win here. In terms of some recent form for Arsenal, they are coming away with a 3-0 win against Athletic Club at the Emirates in a friendly. And before that, they did lose to Villarreal. They lost to Tottenham as well. They beat Newcastle in pre-season, and finally they did beat Milan 1-0 in full time. However, the game went to penalties and Milan won the game on penalties as well. So they've had a mixed pre-season. They've had some decent signings, Arsenal as well. But in terms of some Arsenal's team news, Leandro Trossard and Gabriel Jesus are out. So in terms of how I expect Arsenal to line up, this is how I'm expecting Arsenal to line up. Obviously, Raya and Net, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Lewis Skelly making up the back 4. Zubimendi, Rice and Odegaard making up the 3 in midfield. And then Saka, Gyokeres and Martinelli up front. So I think they've made some decent signings. Zubimendi is a decent signing as well. Gyokeres is a decent signing. They've strengthened well in areas, and they've also bought in Madueke as well to fill in possibly for Martinelli as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Madueke does start ahead of Martinelli, but that remains to be seen. In terms of Arsenal tactics, Arsenal under Mikel Arteta, they employ a tactical system that emphasises possession-based football, quick transitions and adaptable formations. They utilise a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1 with inverted fullbacks, a double pivot in midfield and a dynamic attacking rotations. Arsenal's tactics also involve patient build-up play, high pressing and exploiting the half spaces. So in terms of possession and build-up, Arsenal aims to control possession and build attacks patiently, often starting from the back with short measured passes. Formation flexibility, while often using a 4-3-3, they can shift to a 4-2-4 or a 3-2-4-1 during the build-up phase, adapting to opposition pressing schemes. Inverted fullbacks like Lewis Skelly and Ben White often invert into midfield, providing extra passing options and control. Attacking rotations, players like Odegaard, Rice and the wingers interchange positions dynamically to create confusion for defenders and exploit space. Pressing, Arsenal utilises a high pressing system aiming to win the ball back quickly in the opponent's half. Half-space exploitation. Arsenal focuses on attacking the half spaces using inside forwards and inverted fullbacks to create numerical advantages. So set pieces, Arsenal are also known for its expertise in set piece situations. Manchester United are going to have to be wary when Arsenal do get a set piece. Rice has one wicked right foot. I'm sure we remember the free kicks that he scored against Real Madrid in the Champions League, and you know his set piece delivery from corners and free kicks is absolutely world class. So we're gonna have to be wary of that. In terms of the final third, they're going to be using the overlaps involving wide players, usually fullbacks making forward runs to get around the wingers, underlaps as well. When the winger receives the ball out wide, he will attract the opposition fullback. This opens up space between the fullback and the centre-back, which allows their number 8 to make underlapping runs into the space. Many players in the box as well. The midfielders and wingers always look to make runs into the box when the ball is in the final third, often getting 4 or 5 players into these areas to create overloads. So in terms of defending, compactness and control, Arsenal aim to deny central progression. They compress space between the lines so opponents are forced wide. The midfield and back line stays narrow with strong ball oriented shifting. High press triggers. They often press high when the opponent's centre backs receive the ball facing their own goal, or when the ball is played into a fullback near the touchline. And rest defense setup. Even when attacking, Arsenal structure their players. So they're ready to counter press. The likes of Lewis Skelly, Rice, and last season it was Partey stepping into midfield. Now it's going to be Zubimendi step into midfield to kill counterattacks at the source. And wide players like Saka and Martinelli wide players like Saka and Martinelli stay ready to track back but are positioned to break forward if possession is won. So in terms of their defensive shape, they do play in a 4-4-2 or a 4-4-1 mid block. Odegaard usually pushes up alongside the striker, forming the first line of 2 alongside the striker, of course. Wingers drop into midfield to create a flat 4. This shape blocks access to the pivot and forces players out wide. Back 5 if needed as well. When defending deeper, the fullback Ben White or Lewis Skelly, they tuck in as a third centre-back, making it harder to create overloads in central spaces. So in terms of counter pressing as well, after losing the ball, Arsenal immediately swarm the ball carrier. The closest 2 to 3 players press aggressively while the rest squeeze up to close the passing lanes. The goal is not to win it back but to force a rushed clearance so they can recover. And Arteta's Arsenal are structured without the ball. They use a narrow block to force play out wide. High pressing in triggers, immediate counter pressing on losses, and rest defense that prevents being exposed in transitions. It's all about controlling space and dictating where the opponent can't play. So in terms of their star man, of course, I'm going to have to say it is going to be Victor Gyokeres. He did score 39 goals in 33 appearances in the Portuguese league, so he's going to be one to look out for. And another notable mention goes to Bukayo Saka as well. He is very dangerous in and around the box as well. So in terms of Saka, let me just take a look at his stats for last season. Last season in the Premier League, he scored 6 goals and provided 10 assists. He did appear in 25 matches. He was injured for a couple of months in last season as well. So he's going to be He's going to be one to look out for. 6 goals and 10 assists in the Premier League last season. And then Victor Gyokeres, he had 39 goals and 7 assists in 33 matches for Sporting Lisbon last season. So he's going to be one to look out for as well. But I think Victor Gyokeres, if we can keep him quiet, then we could be on for a decent game against Arsenal tomorrow. In terms of Man United, we are coming away with a draw against Fiorentina, 1-1 in our last pre-season friendly. It wasn't I think it was okay. We did dominate the ball. We had more shots on target, but we weren't really creating any clear-cut opportunities that we should be doing, in the final third. So in the final third, I was a little bit disappointed with our performance. We lacked that cutting ball, that cutting edge again. Hopefully, with the attackers we've signed, that can become better against, this season in the Premier League. So in terms of injuries for Man United, Martinez and Heaven are out. However, Ruben in his press conference did mention that Onana and Zirkzee are back in contention to start. So hopefully they are in the matchday squad. In terms of Manchester United's lineup, this is who I've gone for, or this is my preferred lineup, or this is how I would personally line up against Arsenal, not necessarily my preferred. Onana net, of course, Yoro, Delete, Shaw making up the back three, Ahmad, Casemiro, Bruno Fernandes and Dogu making up the four in the midfield. And then finally up front, our brand new front three. I really want them to start, really want them to see how they link up together. Mbumo, Cunha and Sesko as the front three. I think that is leveling up so much from our front three from last season, where too often than not we would see Højlund, Garnacho and Bruno Fernandes. And of course I think Bruno Fernandes can play in that front three. I think he's really, really good in that position as well. But I think him coming a little bit further back into midfield, I think he can dictate play, and he's got the passing range as well to kind of play in that position. And and hopefully he can kind of make them switches of play to the likes of Dogu and Ahmad from that deep line playmaker role. I think he can play there. However, defensively sometimes he can be lacking. So hopefully he does kind of improve defensively in that position. So that's my front three, or my starting lineup, my Manchester United starting lineup. Star man for Manchester United, I'm going to have to go with Bruno Fernandes again. He creates the most chances for us. We rely on him the most, and I think he was our best player in pre-season as well. He grabbed a couple of goals and a couple of assists as well. So how do you beat Arsenal? I think number one, exploit the space behind Arsenal's high back line. Arsenal push the defenders up to squeeze the pitch. Quick balls in behind to Mbumo, Cunha and Sesko can punish them, especially in transitions. Play through Arsenal's press with directness. Instead of trying to pass short under pressure, United can bypass Arsenal's traps with diagonals or quick switches, targeting the full-back spaces. Attack Lewis Skelly's side, and when Lewis Skelly inverts into midfield, space opens up behind him, overloads on Arsenal's left, United's right, can create dangerous 1v1 situations and compact mid-block to frustrate them. Arsenal struggle when opponents stay disciplined, block the middle and force them into sterile wide positions. United's midfielders must stay narrow and compact. And finally, transition ruthlessly. Arsenal are most vulnerable right after they lose the ball, when many players are high or inverted. Winning it in midfield and breaking fast with pace is United's best weapon. So in short, stay compact, lure them forward and hit them with speed into wide and behind spaces. So in terms of how I would like United to play, I don't expect Manchester United to be dominating ball possession. I want us to kind of sit back. I want us to kind of play on the counter. I want Arsenal to have the ball. I want Arsenal to have 55-60% possession. I know we're at Old Trafford, and yeah, the onus is on to kind of dominate the ball, but we have to hold our hands up and say Arsenal are better in possession than us. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal hold possession. I want them to hold possession, because then that's going to leave space in behind for Manchester United to counter-attack. And with that front three of Cunha, Mbumo and Sesko, we can definitely punish them. There's pace with the likes of Sesko, Mbumo, Cunha that can definitely punish Arsenal on the counter-attack when they do leave space in behind. So in terms of my score prediction, I can't predict Manchester United a loss for our first Premier League game of the season. I just can't do it. I can't predict a loss. Or even though last season I did predict a couple of losses for us, I am going to go for a Manchester United 2-0 win. Hopefully Man United do come away with the win. I'm going to go with Sesko to score both the goals. And I'm excited for the start of the season. I'm excited to watch Manchester United play. Hopefully we do come away with the win. It really will help us start the season on a strong foot. Anyway, if you enjoyed this preview, Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you after the match.